people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Breaking news. We have a situation at the moment where Caroline Dubois, who's very good,
yes,
is mandated to fight Rhiannon Dixon.
absolutely.
Rhiannon Dixon also has another opportunity to fight for a world title. So if she goes that way, then the IBF will order the next in line, which is Beatrice Ferreira. So Caroline Dubois will fight Beatrice Ferreira. For me, one of the best fights in women's boxing.
This is the fight.
It all depends on what you want to see. Do you want to see an even fight or an uneven fight? Ferreira versus Dubois, that's an even fight between former Olympians, whereas Dubois versus Dixon, that's an uneven fight. Eddie said that Rhiannon Dixon is going another route. She's got another world title opportunity with another organization. I'm going to assume that's the WBO he's talking about. Via the WBO, Karen Carabajal of Argentina is ranked at number 1, and Rhiannon Dixon is ranked at number 3. Germany's own Becky Boss is ranked at number 2, but I don't think Becky Boss is going to be a problem. I think the fight between Rhiannon and Karen can happen for the newly vacated WBO title. Rhiannon sports a professional record, an unblemished record of 9 wins with no losses, no draws, 1 recorded knockout, and she's been improving fight by fight. It's noticeable. She looked good in the Majuba Uptil fight on the road as the away fighter, looked good again in the Christine Shergold and Vicky Wilkinson fights, and the more recent Katharina Fanders fight in September of last year. She's coming along, but she does need more time. Whether or not you guys out there are okay with that, I'll leave such judgments up to you. Could be facing Karen Carbajal of Argentina in her next fight, who's a lot more experienced with more rounds in the bank, sporting a professional record of 21 wins with 1 loss, no draws, 3 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 22 professional bouts. Her lone defeat came at the hands of none other than Katie Taylor. Karen was Katie's mandatory challenger a few fights back, and she has since rebounded off that loss in 2022, late 2022, with 2 consecutive victories in 2023. And she's no lunch lady. She can give Rhiannon some issues. It's important to note that while the Karen Carabajal fight might be a more winnable fight than the Dubois fight, that doesn't mean it's an easy fight. That just means it's easier than fighting Caroline Dubois. But Karen can push her. She can test Rhiannon Dixon. Rhiannon, who saw action 3 times in 2022 and 2 times last year. Could be Rhiannon Dixon's chance to prove she's on the level and she has what it takes in order to become a world champion. If she does end up fighting for the WBO title, what's she going to be facing in Karen Carabajal? Well, Karen, she's actually very tall and very long for the weight. She's a mid-range fighter. Good physical dimensions for the weight, good ring coverage. Sticks the jab out there, and she doesn't have to be right up on you to touch her, but she does have a propensity to step into her shots and bring other shots over. She's a mid-range fighter. Even though she has great physical dimensions for the weight, Karen's best punches really aren't her straight punches, it's her bent arm punches, her hooks, and you know what they say about hookers. You don't hook with a hooker. Rhiannon Dixon is comparatively faster to the eye, faster and more athletic, and that's what she has to use. That's what can win her this fight. Rhiannon Dixon, like Karen Carbajal, in many ways she's a mid-range fighter too, very fast in the pocket, but she doesn't want to sit there too long with Karen. Beat those feet. You move around and you fight on a swivel. Play at the angles. Rhiannon Dixon, she just so happens to be a southpaw, whereas Karen Carbajal, she is an orthodox fighter. Leads with the left to set up the right. With Rhiannon, it's the other way around. And as stated, both Rhiannon and Karen, they're both mid-range fighters, but Rhiannon doesn't want to sit in the pocket with Karen for too long. That's what Karen wants. Karen is looking for a fight, so Rhiannon has to keep it a boxing match. Move ahead and move a torso. Get under the sweeping hooks. Some fights you win with firepower. Other fights, you win with speed. This is a fight that Rhiannon has to win with her feet, on her feet, playing at the angles and fighting on a swivel. Defense!
That's how she can beat her.
That's how she can beat her. That's how she can beat Karen, who I anticipate is going to be the aggressor, so Rhiannon will have to be the defender.
Don't just sell out.
Just go trading with Karen whenever she steps into a jab, trading with her whenever she wants to. You don't give her what she wants. The old saying goes, fight the boxer, box the fighter. And if what Karen wants is a fight, then you do the opposite. You keep it a boxing match.
Karen will let go of that straight 1-2, step into it, then shorten up the punches once she's on the inside. Get off those hooks.
Rhiannon Dixon is noticeably faster and more athletic, changes levels. She's got to slip, roll, ride, bob, and weave those shots as Karen tries to close the distance. So she shouldn't just sell out and trade with Karen whenever Karen wants to, and she doesn't want to make herself a stationary target. Rhiannon doesn't want to stay in one spot. She's got to move around. This is a fight that she has to win on her feet, bouncing in and out of range. You'll notice that Rhiannon's hooks, they're a lot shorter, a lot tighter, and more defensible than what you get from Karen.
So she can punch her in between.
Just don't get overzealous with your speed or combinations. You sit in the pocket too long stringing punches together, you're going to give Karen exactly what she wants because she wants to sit in the pocket with you. This is all about angles, level changes, and foot positioning. Where she is relative to Karen at all times.
Rhiannon can win this fight. She can win it. It's an easier fight to win than the Caroline Dubois fight, but don't mistake that for the fight being easy.
And I never said it was easy. I just said it's easier than the Dubois fight, but Rhiannon can win it.
With $1 Million Crawler in a corner, they can devise the strategy, devise the game plan that sees Rhiannon become WBO champion.
Men's lightweight and super lightweight news. Oscar De La Hoya took to his Instagram stories to react to Ryan Garcia palling around with Floyd Mayweather Jr., his old rival, and turning away from a Devin Haney fight for a Rolly Romero fight instead. Oscar said, pre-run with Floyd equals Ryan wants Haney. Post-run with Floyd equals Ryan wants Rolly. Golden Boy has worked with Ryan Garcia since he turned pro, and together we have made him the biggest draw in boxing. We will make his fight with Rolly into a huge event, as we always do. Floyd, if you want to give Ryan the secret to defense in the ring, that's great. Other than that, if you're still a promoter like it says here, fuck off.
Ryan is still under contract with Golden Boy, whether he likes it or not.
But I suppose that maintaining a good working relationship with Floyd Mayweather has its benefits. It could make a Rolly Romero fight that much easier to make.
Easier than if Ryan and Floyd didn't have a good relationship.
Floyd Mayweather, who posted this fan-made poster via his Instagram account. Picture of Ryan Garcia opposite the ring, Rolly Romero. So it seems that Floyd is just as interested in doing this fight as Oscar is interested in doing this fight, as Ryan is interested in doing this fight.
It seems like they're all on the same page as far as wanting to do the fight.
But it's not the only fight they can do. It's not the only fight out there for Ryan Garcia. It's not even the biggest, as far as I'm concerned. An Isaac Cruz fight could be just as, if not more commercially viable than a Rolly Romero fight, because Rolly doesn't have the Mexican fans behind him. He's not a fighter of Mexican descent. I feel like the Mexican fight fans would sooner rally around Isaac Cruz than they would around Rolly Romero, with the difference being that, well, the Rolly fight would be for a title, whereas the Isaac fight,
it wouldn't, but that could be bigger.
Commercially bigger than the Rolly fight. Either fight is fine for Ryan, either fight is winnable. Rolly Romero's no good and Isaac's overrated. His claim to fame isn't even a fight that he won, it's a fight that he lost. And all three of these guys have shared the ring with Gervonta Davis. All three of these guys have been beaten by Gervonta Davis, with the difference being that only one of their fights, only one of their pay-per-views, I should say, sold over 1 million pay-per-views. Ryan is the A-side to Rolly. He's the A-side to Isaac. He's the A-side to the both of them. Thus, if they want him, they should have to cross the street. They should have to go to Golden Boy. They should have to fight on DAZN.
Ryan is the A-side to Rolly. He's the A-side to Isaac.
What are you two schmucks gonna do if you don't fight Ryan? What are you gonna do, Isaac? You gonna fight Frank Martin? You gonna fight Edwin De Los Santos? Do you make the money with them that you could make with Ryan?
Don't look like you're gonna get Gervonta in the ring again. No time soon.
So if it's not him, how do you get it a big bag, a big price? How you gonna do that? Fighting Frank Martin, fighting Edwin De Los Santos? You better play ball.
You better play ball.
What are you two schmucks gonna do if you don't fight Ryan?
What the fuck are you gonna do, Rolly? Run it back with Ishmael Barroso, let him beat you half to death again? He almost knocked you out the first time.
And he's back in the queue. He's your mandatory. He knocked out O'Hara Davies in one round, and now he's your problem. So what are you gonna do? Now, I'm sure that the WBA would be willing to stand down and stay in order for you to run it back with him if you make a fight with Ryan.
So make yourself useful.
I think Ryan is the A side to the both of these fighters, and I think the both of these fighters, they need to make themselves amicable. They need to make themselves negotiable, because the alternatives, their alternatives to a Ryan Garcia fight won't get them the money that Ryan can get them, win or lose. And if that means having to go to Golden Boy and having to fight on DAZN for one fight, then that's just what the fuck that means.
Friendo.
Ryan's been hanging around Floyd, and I hope that Floyd hasn't been trying to convince Ryan that Ryan needs to go to the PBC for those fights, that those situations are similar to the situation that he had with Gervonta, because they're not. Those two guys, they're nobodies.
They're nothing.
Isaac's an undercard fighter, and Rolly's got a belt, but who cares? How long before somebody comes along and takes it from him if he drags this feet, if he drags this out?
Ryan actually has all the leverage.
Ryan is kind of stupid. Are you hanging around Floyd? Or is Floyd hanging around you? Could be an act of desperation, because his relationship with Gervonta ain't what it used to be. It's fractured. And Mayweather Promotions, they don't have any other stars. Who do they have? Rolly?
What did I just say about Rolly?
Isaac's not with Floyd. You don't have to deal with Floyd to do a fight with Isaac. No, not necessarily. Where Rolly's with Mayweather Promotions, Isaac's with Pacquiao Promotions, Manny Pacquiao, and he's managed by Sean Gibbons. Sean, who is just as interested in doing a fight with you as Rolly's team might be interested in doing a fight with you. But you don't have to deal with Floyd and jog with Floyd to do that fight with Isaac. Don't let Floyd convince you that they have any leverage in the situation, because they don't.
No.
You do.
Yeah.
They need you.
You.
They're not stars. They're not popular by themselves. You are.
Yeah.
You fucking idiot.
Pay attention.
PBC don't have but so many fight dates to accommodate but so many fighters. I don't really think that Isaac ranks all that high on their priority list. I think the same applies to Rolly Romero, given his limited boxing ability and the fact that Ishmael Barroso is back in the queue, but that isn't a big fight.
Pay attention.
A good number of PBC fighters, as a result, have already had to branch out and box in small hall shows just to keep busy. Former champion Mark Mixayo, former champion Jarrett Hurd, former champion Julian Williams. He was in Atlantic City.
He fought yesterday at the Showboat.
Most people didn't know, but I knew, because I pay attention, and you should too. The PBC don't have the same resources that they once did. They don't have as many fight dates as they used to, but they do have a lot of fighters waiting on them. Rolly Romero and Isaac Cruz among them. And you're the A side to the both of those guys, so why should you have to go to them?
Why should you pretend that they're on the same footing as you when they're not? Don't let Floyd convince you. You think he's looking out for you.
Inviting you to jog, inviting you to slumber parties, offering you s'mores and braiding your hair.
Snap out of it.
You're the boss, you fucking ringworm, and you better act like it. Don't fuck this up. You've got all the leverage in the situation. You've got to use it against them just as easily as they would use it against you, the way they did use it against you when they hit you with all those weight stipulations.
Did you forget?
Teofimo Lopez didn't. Teofimo Lopez, who was asked about Gervonta Davis having rehydration clauses in his fight contracts. That's a pussy move. Gervonta, you're a fucking pussy. You are a bitch.
Whatever he is, by the time he comes back, he will have been out of the ring for at least a year. They wanted to get him back out in March,
but they might not. And if they don't, it will have been roughly a year's time since the Ryan Garcia fight, if you can believe that. It will have been that long. The problem is, at least based on rumors that I'm hearing, well, Gervonta Davis's last 6 fights were billed as box office fights, and Amazon, they don't want the first fight of the deal to be a box office fight, to be a pay-per-view.
The rumor I heard is that they want the first fight of the deal to be a regular fight as part of everyone's Amazon subscription. And that can't be a Davis fight, because I don't think Davis wants to go back to fighting in regular fights for regular purses.
Hot on the heels of what was the most lucrative fight, the biggest purse of his career, he doesn't want to have to take a step backwards, but he's going to. It doesn't look like he's going to fight Isaac Cruz, but he might fight Rayo Valenzuela. No weight stipulations necessary. Rayo campaigns right there at 135, the same as Gervonta Davis, though as far as weight stipulations, Teofimo used that as ammunition to lambast Gervonta Davis, saying that's a pussy move. You're a fucking pussy. You're a bitch.
Is he?
Well, I mean, he's already not fighting the best fighters at or around his weights at 130, at 135, at 140 when he went up there for Mario Barrios. Mario wasn't the best 140-pounder at that time. It was Josh Taylor. He was undisputed champion at 135. You're talking about Lomachenko. You're talking about Lopez, Cambosos, Haney. He didn't fight any of them. He's not going to fight Shakur Stevenson. I see no interest from Team Davis in doing that. So when you're already not fighting your contemporaries, when you're already not doing that,
And you use weight stipulations too? Rehydration clauses, catch weight. You needed a catch weight for Ryan? A rehydration clause for Ryan?
I'll tell you that I don't think Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo Lopez, or Devin Haney, or Vasyl Lomachenko, I don't think any of them would need or use weight stipulations for Ryan Garcia. But Gervonta Davis did.
Ryan is limited enough as it is. They wouldn't stick rehydration clauses and catch weights on him, but Gervonta Davis did. So what does that tell you?
It tells me they're very careful with him. I mean, just imagine if Ryan decided he's not going to adhere to those weight stipulations, then the fight between him and Gervonta, it wouldn't have happened. Is that to suggest that Ryan Garcia is too risky unless you can use weight stipulations on him? This idea that Gervonta Davis is among the best fighters at 135 pounds, even now that he's been elevated to full WBA champion, that's all smoke and mirrors, man. That is neither proven nor earned.
Because what if Ryan said no?
Think about the profile of that fight, the size of that fight, and what it ended up generating at the gate and at the box office. Think about that, and imagine that Ryan says no, that if you're going to put a catch weight on me, I'm not going to adhere to a rehydration clause too. Just imagine that Ryan stood on business and took a stand, and then the fight would have fell apart. They would have left all that money on the table.
Team Davis.
And it's not like he could have turned around and fought somebody else and did the same numbers that he ended up doing with Ryan Garcia. That's what makes Ryan accepting those terms so foolhardy. He had more leverage than he realized at the time, but he blew it.
But just imagine, if he would have took a stand and said no, I'll adhere to your catch weight, but I'm not doing no rehydration clause.
And just imagine that that would have caused the fight to fall apart. That's saying that Team Davis would have been willing to walk away from all that money, all of that, just because they can't stick weight clauses on a guy. You guys are really nervous then, aren't you?
They're really careful with Gervonta.
If you need weight clauses for Ryan, I don't think Teofimo would need weight clauses for Ryan. So I see the point that he's making.